This is the Leadership Lens, where we say the hard truths and fix the system. Today, we talk about the highest leverage variable in school improvement. Not a curriculum, not a coaching model, not a data system, a belief. And the research behind it will change how you look at everything you have built this year. In 2015, John Hattie published an updated analysis of his visible learning research, one of the largest meta-analyses of educational effectiveness ever conducted. And buried in that update was a finding that should have changed everything in K-12 school improvement. Almost nobody talks about it. Collective teacher efficacy. Effect size, 1.57. Sit with that number for a moment. An effect size of 0.40 represents a full year of typical student growth. An effect size of 1.57 means that when teachers collectively believe they can produce significant learning for students, and when that belief is supported by evidence, the impact on student outcomes is transformational. Higher than any feedback model, higher than any curriculum adoption, higher than any instructional strategy in Hattie's entire body of research. It is the single highest leverage variable he identified, and most school improvement plans have no deliberate strategy for building it. Here is what the collective efficacy actually is and what it is not. It is not morale. It is not enthusiasm. It is not a good culture survey score. Collective efficacy is the shared professional conviction that the work we do here together with these students in this building is capable of producing results, even for the students who have been the hardest to reach, even in May, even when everyone is exhausted. And here's the hard truth about May. End of year exhaustion is the most common efficacy killer in K-12 systems. By this point in the school year, the urgency has shifted from instruction to logistics. The building is running on survival mode, and in survival mode, teachers unconsciously lower expectations, simplify tasks, and reduce cognitive demand, not because they've stopped caring, but because the collective belief that the work still matters has quietly eroded. That is not a people problem, that is a system problem, and system problems have system solutions. Albert Bandura's foundational research on efficacy identifies 4 sources from which collective belief is built. As part of our work at If Then Solutions, we named each source in a way that connects directly to the leader's role in activating it. A deliberate efficacy building strategy activates all 4, not just one. The first source is mastery experiences, what we call the evidence moment. When teachers try an instructional practice and see it produce measurable results with students, their belief in their own effectiveness grows. The evidence moment is the structure that surfaces those results and names them publicly. Not the teacher's feelings that things went well, the actual data in front of the team from a real lesson this week. That specificity is what builds belief because it is not encouragement, it is evidence. The second source is vicarious experiences, what we call the witness protocol. When teachers watch their colleagues succeed with the same students in the same context with the same challenges, they see proof that what we do in this building can produce results. The witness protocol is not a celebration moment. It is a carefully designed professional observation, a teacher presenting their student work, naming exactly what they did instructionally, and letting the team see what it produced. The third source is social persuasion, what we call the mirror conversation. When leaders affirm teacher effort with specific evidence-based language, collective belief strengthens. The mirror conversation is grounded in the scripting X-ray we've used in previous episodes. You reflect the evidence back to the teacher, I noticed students were doing the analysis the standard required after you changed the prompt last Tuesday. 3 students who have not produced writing at that level all year demonstrated it. That is not a compliment. That is a mirror showing a teacher evidence of their own effectiveness. Generic praise does not build efficacy. Evidence-based affirmation does. The 4th source is psychological state, what we call the pressure read. When the culture of a building is high stress, survival mode, and exhaustion driven, efficacy erodes. When the culture signals safety, growth, and possibility, efficacy holds. The pressure read is the leader's honest assessment of the atmospheric conditions in the building right now. Is the energy in your building fueling belief or consuming it? Are your end-of-year communications building toward a finish line or communicating a countdown to escape? How you carry the final weeks as a leader either reinforces or erodes the collective belief in the room. All 4 sources matter. Most leaders activate one, usually social persuasion, through encouragement and neglect the other 3. A complete efficacy building strategy requires structure that generate evidence moments, create witness protocol opportunities, deliver mirror conversations, and produce the kind of atmospheric pressure that signals the work is worth finishing well. Through the lens of functional tiering, the collective efficacy sits at every level, but it is generated and sustained differently at each. At the teacher's microscope level, collective efficacy is visible in what teachers believe about the students in front of them this week. Are they designing lessons that still demand analysis and rigor in May, or have they simplified because they have already decided the year is over for certain students? The microscope question is every teacher still producing evidence moments in their classroom even now? At the principal's X-ray level, collective efficacy is visible in the culture of the building's professional conversations. Are PLCs still producing instructional decisions, or have they shifted to end-of-year logistics? Is the witness protocol still surfacing teacher success in staff meetings, or has the agenda been consumed by testing schedules and field trip permissions? The X-ray question is the atmospheric pressure I'm creating fueling belief or draining it? At the district satellite level, collective efficacy should be a tracked leading indicator across buildings. Staff climate surveys, retention data, and end-of-year PLC observation data all point to buildings where collective belief is holding versus where it has collapsed. The satellite question is, which buildings are finishing the year strong, and what does the leader's efficacy building practice look like in those buildings? Collective efficacy is not soft data. It is the leading indicator that tells you whether the instructional system you have built this year will hold next September, or whether it will require a complete rebuild when teachers return from summer having lost the shared belief that the work is possible. If this is something you are navigating right now, we have a micro move, which are small intentional shifts designed to help reclaim your leadership and build a system that holds. Your micro move is to run a May mastery moment. Here's how this works. This week, identify one teacher in your building whose students are showing measurable results, a class where something is actually working. You know which teacher this is, and so does everyone else, even if nobody has said it out loud. Ask that teacher to bring their student work and their data to your next staff meeting or grade level PLC. Give them 5 minutes. Have them walk the group through what they did instructionally and what the students produced as a result. Do not editorialize. Do not add your own commentary. Let the evidence speak for itself. This is a mastery moment. It is simultaneously a source of evidence for the teacher presenting and a vicarious experience for every teacher watching, which means a single 5-minute structure is activating 2 of the 4 efficacy sources at once. What you're watching for is the shift in the room. When teachers see a colleague producing results with the same students in the same building under the same conditions, something changes in the collective belief about what is still possible in the final weeks. That shift is not motivational, it's architectural. You have just adjusted the atmospheric pressure in your building using evidence. And here's the pivot that turns a one-time moment into a system. The May Mastery Moment is not a special event. It is a monthly structure. One teacher, one data share, one staff meeting or PLC every month. Research shows that one mastery moment per month sustained over a school year can measurably shift staff belief in their collective ability to impact students. That is not a program, that's a protocol, and it begins this week. Leader to leader, you can have the strongest curriculum, the most rigorous coaching system, and the most carefully designed data infrastructure in your district. If your teachers have stopped believing they can change outcomes for students, none of it holds in the final weeks of this year. And none of it will hold in September. Belief is not a soft variable. An effect size of 1.57, it is the most powerful lever in the research. And it is most at risk right now in May, when exhaustion is highest and the finish line is still weeks away. This is not the time to pull back on efficacy building. This is the moment when the 5 minutes you spend running a mastery moment matters more than any initiative on your calendar. To help you design a deliberate monthly system for activating all 4 sources of collective belief, not just in May, but throughout the school year, we are sharing a copy of our Collective Efficacy Builder. It gives you a planning structure for the evidence moment, the witness protocol, the mirror conversation, and the pressure read across a full 12-month calendar. It's linked in the description below. Use it this week to plan the final stretch and again in August to design the year. It's micro move time. This is the Leadership Lens. I'm Jay Longino. Let's learn and grow together.